Assalamualaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Dr. Shahana, and today we are discussing the 714 for the Karachi University. Topic which I cover will be the endocrinology and the GI, and I will cover these two topics from the book Pharmacotherapy Handbook. I will upload this book in the Google class, so you have to go through the lectures for my section. This is the 9th edition. I will cover the endocrinological disorders and the gastrointestinal disorders. Chapters are from 18 to 25. Another book which I will cover is the Roger and Walker for the case studies. This book is considered for the case study, and this I will also upload on the Google class. Today we will discuss the adrenal gland disorders. In endocrinology, basically we have different types of glands. The first gland we are discussing is the adrenal gland. Either there is a hyperfunctioning of the adrenal gland that involves the excess production of the adrenal hormones, that is the cortisol, which is a steroid hormone produced by the adrenal gland, the cortex of the adrenal gland. Or there is a terminology which is called as the hyperaldosteronism, which is due to the increased secretion of the aldosterone that mainly act on the kidney. If the function of the gland is suppressed, there will be the adrenal gland hyperfunction that is associated with the disease called as the Addison disease or the secondary adrenal insufficiency. If it is the hyperfunctioning of the adrenal gland, the disease may be a Cushing syndrome or there may be a hyperaldosteronism. What is Cushing syndrome? Cushing syndrome is basically a complex syndrome that is result from the supraphysiological concentration of the glucocorticoid levels. These levels either originate from the exogenous source, that is the use of the steroids like dexamethasone, prednisolone, which is the exogenous source, or it may be endogenously produced by a body in a person through the adrenal gland under the hormone which is the adrenocorticotropic hormone, or this concentration may be of the independent of the adrenocorticotropic hormone. What happens actually, there is an hypothalamus that regulates the anterior pituitary gland, and the anterior pituitary gland regulates the adrenal cortex. When hypothalamus stimulates anterior pituitary gland, it releases corticotropin releasing hormone. CRF basically responsible to stimulate the adrenocorticotropic hormone ACTH from the anterior pituitary gland. This ACTH in turn activates the adrenal cortex to produce the glucocorticoids, and we have the glucocorticoids, we have the androgens, and we have the mineralocorticoids that are released from the adrenal cortex. So in the Cushing syndrome, basically 80% of the cases are ACTH dependent, in which adrenocorticotropin hormone is more released, its levels are more increased in the case of they are more released from the anterior pituitary gland. Lead to the adrenal hyperplasia, the size of the adrenal gland is increased. This is mainly due to the pituitary adenomas, that is the cancer of the pituitary gland, a benign cancer or tumor of a pituitary gland that are responsible for the adrenal hyperplasia, or it may be a ectopic tumor, that is the tumor outside the pituitary gland, or it may be a non-neoplastic corticotropin hypersecretion that leads to the 20% cases of the ACTH dependent cases. So we can say we have either a benign tumor of the pituitary gland, or there may be a ectopic tumor or any other reason behind the higher level of the ACTH are main causes of the Cushing syndromes. Ectopic ACTH syndrome is basically due to the excessive ACTH production that are result from the either endocrine or non-endocrine tumors, either the tumor of the pancreas, tumor of the thyroid or lung. Especially in case of small cell lung carcinoma, the tumor lead to the higher concentration of the ACTH. However, if there is no tumor in the pituitary gland, there is a chance that there are benign tumors of the adrenal gland. सिर्फ एड्रेनल ग्लैंड है, उसके अंदर भी ट्यूमर बन सकता है, और अगर उसके अंदर होगा तो फिर ACTH के लेवल्स जो है एलिवेटेड नहीं होंगे. तो ACTH independent Cushing syndrome is basically a syndrome in which there is a tumor of the adrenal gland that lead to the higher concentration of the normal endogenous cortisol. What is the clinical presentation? The most common finding is the simplest finding of the overall concentration of the dexamethasone and prednisolone, that is, there is central obesity, there is a swelling of the face, there is a rounding or a moving of the face जो है वो इतना चौड़ा गोल सा हो जाएगा चांद की तरह. 90% केसेस में सबसे ज्यादा ड्रामेटिक कंसिस्टेंसी है कि स्वेलिंग से नजर आएगी फेस पे और एब्डोमेन पे. Furthermore, there is a peripheral obesity along with the fat accumulation in about 50% of the cases. We can say there is accumulation of the fat in the dorsocervical area. This is the buffalo hump, and there is a non-specific increase supraclavicular fat pads. It is the most characteristic important sign of the Cushing syndrome. Other findings include the pain, muscle weakness, myopathy. There may be a hypertension. There may be a glucose intolerance. Some psychiatric changes. There is a gonadal dysfunction. There may be an anemia, and there may be a hirsutism. About 60% of the patients who develop the Cushing syndrome, they develop the osteoporosis because these hormones basically having osteoclastic activity, they reduces the bone mineral density, and about 40% of the patient has a back pain and the spinal fractures along with the spinal compressions. How it is diagnosed? Hypercortisolism can be established within a 24-hour urinary free cortisol and midnight plasma cholesterol and late night cortisol level can be checked. And there is low dose metazone suppression test कि अगर हम metazone लेंगे तो फिर normal जो cortisol level है वो depressed हो जाएगा. There is a higher concentration of the cortisol in a blood with a 24 urinary free cortisol. Other tests to determine are the plasma level of the ACTH and adrenal vein categorization, metallopene stimulation test, adrenal test, or other computer topographic tests. There may be certain corticotropin releasing hormone stimulation test, or there may be an inferior petrocell sampling and other pituitary magnetic resonance imaging. What is the function of pharmacist? The pharmacist should be able to check the levels. Levels के basis पे हम कहेंगे कि ये जो है वो Cushing syndrome की तरफ जा रहा है पेशेंट और ये लेवल्स एलिवेटेड है. तो इन ये टेस्ट जो है वो करवाए जाते हैं और जब इनके लेवल्स एलिवेटेड होंगे तो इट इज द इंडिकेटिव और कंफर्मेशन कि पेशेंट इज सफरिंग फ्रॉम Cushing syndrome. देन इसको रूल आउट करने की जरूरत है कि ये ड्रग इंड्यूस है या हेरिडिटरी है या ड्यू टू एनी बिनाइन ट्यूमर है. So goal of the treatment is to limit the morbidity and the mortality by returning the patient to a normal functional state by removing the source of the hypercortisolism. जो भी सोर्स है जिसकी वजह से हाइपरकॉर्टिसोलिज्म हो रही है वो सोर्स हमें कट डाउन करनी है. And there is a separate non-pharmacological therapy as well as the pharmacological therapy. अभी लास्ट में हम टेबल 81.1 डिस्कस करेंगे. If we talk about the non-pharmacological therapy, the treatment of choice is for both ACTH dependent and ACTH independent Cushing syndrome is the surgical removal of the responsible tumor. जो भी ट्यूमर है उसको सर्जिकली रिमूव कर दिया जाए, उसकी वजह से लेवल जो है वो कम हो जाएगा कॉर्टिसोल का. दैट इज द प्राइमरी tumor which is responsible for the Cushing syndrome. Then we have choice of the pharmacological therapy. Pharmacological therapy is not a first choice. Initially manage करेंगे पहले हम therapy से के सर्जरी की जाए, सर्जरी करके बर्डन कम कर दी जाए. It is a second indicated, either it is secondary to the pre-operative patients or it is act as an adjunctive therapy in a post-operative patients that are awaiting further response. It is rarely used as a monotherapy, as a palliative therapy when surgery is not indicated. अगर surgery नहीं हो सकती किसी भी condition में, then palliative therapy के लिए फिर हम we will go for the pharmacological management. And the first approach is to inhibit the steroid synthesis. Steroidogenic inhibitors are those drugs that inhibit the cortisol synthesis. And mitoprolol inhibits basically 11-dehydroxylase, the step for the synthesis of the steroid hormones. Usually patients show the higher level of ACTH because of the sudden drop of the cortisol. Cortisol नहीं बन रहा, cortisol drop हो जाएगा जिसकी वजह से ACTH का level बढ़ जाएगा. Not only glucocorticoids, other androgenic and melanocorticoid hormones भी increase हो जाएंगे because कि वो पूरा adrenal gland जो है वो उसमें cortisol की synthesis की वजह से ACTH stimulate होते हैं और ACTH जो है वो करेगा हाई करेगा stimulate करेगा adrenal cortex को. 3 hormones जो release होंगे, glucocorticoids plus melanocorticoids plus androgens, तीनों stimulate होंगे. due to this साइड इफेक्ट इसके बहुत ज्यादा है. इट रिजल्ट इन दी हाइपरटेंशन ड्यू टू सिंपैथेटिक सर्ज, रिजल्ट इन दी एक्ने, रिजल्ट इन दी हिस्टोटिज्म ड्यू टू दी एंडोजेनिक स्टिमुलस. There may be a nausea, vomiting, vertigo, headache. So there it has a number of side effects like hypertension, acne, rheumatism, vomiting, headache. Other choice is the ketoconazole that inhibits the cytochrome P450 enzymes, including 11-beta-hydroxylase. The target is to inhibit the 11-beta-hydroxylase, and ketoconazole also inhibits the 17-alpha-hydroxylase. It is very effective in lowering the serum cortisol level after several weeks of the therapy. Furthermore, it also have an anti-androgenic activity, which is very beneficial in women, but in men it may cause the gynecomastia and they also responsible for the decrease in the libido. It means कि जो androgenic drive है वो नहीं होगी, लेकिन जो फीमेल पैटर्न है वो डेवलप हो जाएगा मेल में और देगा increase libido, decrease libido. What are the other adverse effects? Other adverse effects includes the hepatic enzyme elevation like hepatic transaminases. There may be a GI discomfort. There are certain dermatological reactions. Otherwise, it is very good to take, easy to manage. Usually, it also can be, it is usually prescribed with the mitoprolol to achieve the synergism to reduce the cortisol level, along with the addition of its anti-androgenic effects, which may offset the androgenic potential of the mitoprolol. Another drug is etomidate, which is the imidazole derivative. It is very similar, structurally similar to the ketoconazole that also inhibits the 11-beta-hydroxylase. It is only available in parenteral formulations, so etomidate is reserved for the emergency treatment in case of acute hypercortisolemia. Another drug which is a prototype of the aromatase enzyme inhibitor is the aminoglutamide that inhibits the synthesis of the cholesterol to pregnenolone, which is the earlier step of the cortisol pathway. And its side effects are the severe sedation, nausea, ataxia. There is a skin rash that is limited the use of the aminoglutamide. Other steroidogenesis inhibitors are also there, which are more greater efficacy like anastrozole. Usually, they are combined with the mitoprolol as there is a high relapse rate with the aminoglutamide. Another approach is to have an anxiolytic agent that are agent, which is a cytotoxic drug, Mycotan, that limits the 11-hydroxylation of the already formed cortisol, active cortisol, which is the desoxycortisol and 11-desoxycorticosterone in the adrenal cortex, that reducing the synthesis of the cortisol and corticosterone. So this is another approach, and the drawback is that similar with ketoconazole, it takes time to produce the effects. Immediately effects नहीं होंगे और acute effects के लिए हमें मिटाइलोफेनोन देनी पड़ेगी. तो मिटाइलोफेनोन का जो इफेक्ट है वो कंटिन्यू रहेगा और उसके बाद इसमें एडप थेरेपी में माइकोटेन हो सकती है, जस्ट लाइक ketoconazole. The advantage of the therapy is that it produces a sustained cortisol suppression, especially in patients that persist after the drug discontinuation. So it should highlight that ये जो ड्रग है इसका इफेक्ट ड्रग को छोड़ने के बाद भी जो है वो ड्रग का इफेक्ट आएगा. प्रॉब्लम कहाँ है? प्रॉब्लम ये है कि पेशेंट अटेंडेंस में प्रॉब्लम है. इट इज अ साइटोटॉक्सिक ड्रग. There are several type of side effects, which are the damage of the epithelial cells, and they cause the neurological and GI side effects due to its cytotoxic potential. Furthermore, it initially degenerates the area which is the zona fasciculata of the adrenal gland and the reticularis. The zona glomerulosa is mainly affected. However, when the therapy is continued for a chronic period, this will also damage the cells of the zona glomerulosa. इसको भी affect करेंगे. Its side effects are somewhat similar with the chemotherapeutic agents like nausea, vomiting, GI irritations. So it is carefully administered and only it is administered in the hospitalized patient. If the dose is greater than 2 grams per day, nausea and vomiting is more obvious. So there should be gradual increment of the dose rather than intake of the dose in a higher quantity as such. शुरू में आहिस्ता आहिस्ता करके डोज बढ़ाएंगे. एंड द कॉशन इज टू टेक द माइटोडैन विद द फूड. Other CNS side effects are also common. Furthermore, there is increased concentration of the cholesterol that lead to the reversible hypercholesterolemia, and there may be a prolonged bleeding. As there is a problem in the concentration or the pituitary secretions of the ACTH, adrenocorticotropin hormone, this is normally mediated by neurotransmitters like serotonin, like GABA, like acetylcholine and catecholamines. So in case of the ACTH secreting tumors, primary tumors that are Cushing syndromes, that self-regulate the ACTH production to some degree, these neurotransmitters can still promote these types of the tumors. Consequently, agents that target these transmitters also helpful for the management of the Cushing syndromes. And what are these agents? These are the cryptorhabtaline, bromocriptine, cabergoline, valproic acid, octreotide, rosiglitazone, and tretinoin. These drugs are basically act on the several mediators and neurotransmitters which are intermittently involved in the ACTH pituitary secreting tumors. Cryptorhabtaline basically decreases the ACTH secretion in patients with Cushing syndromes. However, cryptogene is causing sedation and weight gain, so its use is limited. Cryptorhabtaline is basically an antihistamine, which is a first generation antihistamine, which also have an antimuscarinic and serotonin activities. You can imagine that first generation antihistamine have a profound sedation due to the CNS suppression and the side effects as they crosses the blood-brain barrier. So cryptorhabtaline can also use in these patients. Then we have the cadreotide, which is a somatostatin analog. It binds and activates the somatostatin receptors, thereby inhibiting the ACTH secretions, leading to decreased cortisol secretions. And now it is part of the regimen of the regimen that is meant for the Cushing disease of the adult prior to surgery, or as well as it is also reserved for those patients where surgery is not possible or where cure is not possible. We have to go for the management. So continuous suppression can be achieved by the use of the pasireotide. Another approach is the use of the glucocorticoid receptor blocker. हम सब क्या करें कि जो already cortisol available था उसका हम receptor blocker दे दें. So mifepristone, which is a progesterone and glucocorticoid receptor antagonist, it inhibits the dexamethasone suppression and increase the endogenous cortisol and ACTH level in normal subjects. So mifepristone is highly effective in reversing the manifestation of the hypercortisolism. It is under investigation, so it can be used as an agent that is mainly a progesterone and glucocorticoid receptor antagonist that reverse the symptoms of the hypercortisolism. Furthermore, this treatment is not a simple one. It is a very problematic condition. So, close monitoring of the serum cortisol level and the urine-free cortisol is continuously evaluated by time to time on week basis to identify the adrenal insufficiency. So you have to monitor the steroid secretion with all drug therapy. If there is the adrenal insufficiency due to the treatment of the Cushing syndrome, we have to again give the corticosteroid replacement therapy. If we talk about the hyposecretion of the cortisol, there is a condition which is called as the adrenal insufficiency. If we talk about the adrenal insufficiency, it may be a primary adrenal insufficiency, which is called as the Addison disease, that involves the destruction of the all region of the adrenal cortex. As a result of this, all three hormones are in lesser level, like glucocorticoid, like androgens, like mineralocorticoids, all are less in number because of the damage of the adrenal cortex. There is a deficiency of cortisol, there is a deficiency of aldosterone and other various androgens, along with the levels of the corticotropin releasing hormone and adrenocorticotropin hormone that increases in compensatory mechanism. So we can say that cortisol, aldosterone and androgens levels कम होंगे, while CRS और ACTH levels high होंगे in case of adrenal insufficiency. What is the main reason? It is basically autoimmune dysfunction. कि बॉडी की अपनी सेल्स जो है वो उन्होंने पिट्यूटरी प्राइमरी जो एड्रिनल ग्लैंड है उसकी जो सेल्स है एड्रिनल कॉर्टेक्स को जो है वो जो है तय कर दिया. This is basically autoimmune dysfunction in about 80 to 90% cases, especially where the condition tuberculosis जहाँ prevalent है वहाँ पे ये chances है कि adrenal gland की जो parts adrenal cortex है वो autoimmune dysfunction हो जाए. There are several certain medications that inhibit the cortisol synthesis or they may accelerate the cortisol metabolism, like use of the phenytoin, rifampin, phenobarbital can also cause the primary adrenal insufficiency. So in case of the epileptic patient who is on the phenytoin and phenobarbital, which is basically the accelerate the cortisol metabolism, is one of the cause of the adrenal insufficiency. Use of the ketoconazole is very linked with the development of the Addison disease. Ketoconazole is one of the broad spectrum antifungal. और as you know that जो antifungal drugs हैं, अगर किसी को ज़रा खास antifungal कोई fungal infection हो जाए तो जो treatment है वो 3 weeks से ज़्यादा का होता है. उस केस में there is a chance there is adrenal insufficiency which is drug induced. Another drug is the mirtazapine and progestin. As we have discussed that progesterone is also there that has a depressive effect on the adrenal gland that also induce the secondary adrenal insufficiency. What are the symptoms of the adrenal insufficiency? It is the weight loss, dehydration, hyponatremia, there is increased potassium, hyperkalemia, and there is elevated level of blood urea nitrogen, BUN, they are the most indicative of the Addison disease. There is hyperpigmentation due to the stimulation of the melanocyte in Addison disease, and it involves the exposed and non-exposed part in both parts. However, if the cause is the secondary cause due to the drug induced, the low amount of the melanocytes are stimulated, so in that case, hyperpigmentation is not a problem. How it is diagnosed? The short porcine stimulation test will be performed to assess the patient with the suspected hypocortisolism, and after the administration there is an increase of the cortisol level about 18 microgram per deciliter. Out it will be reflective of the adrenal insufficiency. If there is a primary insufficiency, then the plasma ACTH level usually from the 400 to 2000 picogram. That is, if compared with normal, it is 5 to 50, 88 to 40 हमारे पास नॉर्मल है, तो ACTH के लेवल्स हाई हो रहे हैं इन प्राइमरी एफिशिएंसी. और अगर हम बात करेंगे उसकी सेकेंडरी इंसफिशिएंसी की, तो सेकेंडरी इंसफिशिएंसी में ACTH के लेवल हाई नहीं होंगे. So a normal post-syntropic stimulation test does not rule out either there is a secondary adrenal insufficiency or not. Other tests include the insulin hypoglycemia test, insulin, the methyrocolone test, and the CRH test. What are the goal of treatment? Goal of treatment is to limit the morbidity and the mortality, return the patient to the normal function, and prevent the episodes of the acute adrenal insufficiency. The pharmacotherapy, it may be achieved by the non-pharmacological therapy and the pharmacotherapy. And the non-pharmacological therapy is basically a counseling therapy. The patient को आपने counseling करना है so that the patient remains adhere to the pharmacotherapy, because in that situation you have to take the drugs with the continuous exposure to the side effects. यहाँ side effects होंगे, लेकिन पेशेंट को काउंसिल करने की ड्रग्स आपने छोड़नी नहीं है. The use adrenal insufficiency, तो corticosteroids are the drug of choice for that condition. Addison disease के लिए हमारे पास corticosteroids देंगे. Hydrocortisone, cortisone and prednisones are the glucocorticoids of the choice that either administered twice a day with the lowest effective dose while mimicking the normal diurnal adrenal rhythms of the cortisol production. इसमें important चीज क्या है कि dose जो है वो lowest होगी और by 2 times a day होगी, so that कि वो जो normal rhythm है cortisol production की morning and night की वो इसको mimic करे. Recommended daily dose is about 15 to 25 mg per daily, that is from 3 to 5 tablets, which is approximately equal to the cortisol acetate, which is 25 to 47.5 mg. Or if we talk about the prednisone, it will be the 2.5 mg. 2/3 of the total dose is given in the morning and the 1/3 is given in the second half. Higher dose होगी वो morning में देंगे और जो 1/3 dose है वो second half में देंगे. The patient symptoms should be monitored up to the 8 weeks. हर week में जो कि वो week है 8 हफ्ते तक हमें assess करना है for the proper glucocorticoid replacement. Another drug is the fludrocortisone acetate, which is the more potent one that replaces the mineralocorticoids loss. IV available है, and if parenteral therapy is needed, the dose is from 2 to 5 mg of the deoxycorticosterone, trimethylacetate in oil is administered IM, and that administration is every 3 to 4 weeks. Why we are adding the mineralocorticoids? Basically, this mineralocorticoids is responsible for the management of the development of the hyperkalemia. Hyperkalemia क्यों है? Because mineralocorticoids नहीं है. तो mineralocorticoids नहीं है तो minerals जो है वो रेगुलेट नहीं हो रही. और कौन सा मिनरल सबसे ज्यादा इफेक्ट हो रहा है? पोटेशियम हो रहा है. पोटेशियम की कंसंट्रेशन ज्यादा हो रही है, हाइपरकैलेमिया हो रहा है. और हम सिर्फ पोटेशियम को रोकने से यहाँ काम नहीं बनेगा, बल्कि वी हैव टू एड अप द पोटेशियम रेगुलेटर विच इज अ मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड को डालना पड़ेगा क्योंकि वो डेफिशिएंट है. मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड ऐड होगा विच इज दी फ्लूट्रोकॉर्टिसोन एसिटेट. वन मोर इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग कि अगर पेशेंट किसी एक्सरसाइज में और स्ट्रेस में जा रहा है तो स्ट्रेस के लिए नॉर्मल जो इंडोजीनियस कॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड्स ग्लूकोकॉर्टिकॉइड वो अवेलेबल नहीं है, सो इट मे लीड टू द एड्रिनल क्राइसिस. तो टू प्रिवेंट द एड्रिनल क्राइसिस ड्यू टू द लोअर कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ द ग्लूकोकॉर्टिकॉइड stress release, the patient should also have additional 10 to 5 mg hydrocortisone in their normal daily regimen before the starting of the strenuous activities. अगर वो कोई स्ट्रेस वाला काम करने जा रहा है तो साथ साथ वो 5 to 10 mg hydrocortisone भी लेगा. And the patient should be advised and instructed properly to double their daily dose until the recovery. If we talk about the secondary adrenal insufficiency, it is mainly identical to the primary disease. Treatment with the exception that here चूंकि सिर्फ और सिर्फ मसला जो है वो ग्लूकोकॉर्टिकॉइड का मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड का नहीं है, तो there is no use of the mineralocorticoid replacement and it will be decide on the basis of the concentration of the potassium. हाइपरकैलेमिया है या नहीं है, तो फिर usually secondary adrenal insufficiency के केस में we don't use the mineralocorticoid. If there is a stress condition, emergency condition, that is the pharmacotherapy of the acute adrenal insufficiency, what we will do. So in case of the acute adrenal insufficiency, which is also known as the adrenal crisis or adenosinian crisis, it is a true endocrine emergency. What happened in this condition? There is a severe dehydration. There is nausea, vomiting, confusion. There is loss of consciousness. There is a pain in the back, and there is basically a stressful condition. Any situation, surgery, infection, and trauma may potentiate the events that mainly responsible for the higher requirement of the cortisol. And there is no cortisol for the fight and flight response. So most common cause of the adrenal insufficiency is the emergency or stressful condition. एक stressful condition में क्या होगा कि patient undergo adrenal crisis, and this adrenal crisis may be of a primary cause के उसका adrenal gland ही अगर नहीं हो काम कर रहा primary तौर पे या pituitary gland ही non functioning है तो वो lead करेगा adrenal release में. और if it is secondary तो there is a chance कि exogenous drug ले रहा था ग्लूकोकॉर्टिकॉइड पहले से और वो एकदम विड्रॉ कर लिए, तो उसका साइड इफेक्ट के तौर पे भी there is a condition is called as pharmacotherapy of the acute adrenal insufficiency. For that purpose, there is a suppression of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gland axis. ये पूरी जो gland axis है पूरी suppress हो जाएगी और फिर हमें फिर इसको रिवाइव करने के लिए दोबारा कॉर्टिसोन देना पड़ेगा. That will give that we will have to give parenterally because of its combined glucocorticoid and the mineralocorticoid effects. So hydrocortisone is a drug of choice for the management of the acute adrenal insufficiency IV. 100 mg IV is rapidly infused if the patient is in the delirium, in the coma or in the unconscious state. Depending on the crisis, कितनी इसकी सीवियरिटी है, उस केस में फिर हाइड्रोकोर्टिसोन आईवी देंगे, यूजुअली 10 mg पर आवर के हिसाब से देंगे और बोनस भी दे सकते हैं आप आफ्टर एवरी 24 आवर्स. तो आईवी एडमिशन इज कंटिन्यू फॉर 24 आवर्स to 4 hours to get the stability कि पेशेंट की जो एक्सेस है वो रिवाइव हो जाए और पेशेंट कॉन्शियसनेस में आ जाए. एंड देयर इज डिहाइड्रेशन, there is a severe nausea and vomiting, so there should be a fluid replacement as well. So for fluid replacement there may be patient जो है nausea vomiting के साथ साथ कुछ खा भी ना होगा तो IV dextrose is the best choice. 5% नॉर्मल सलाइन में देंगे 1 लीटर तक तकरीबन 24 आवर्स में मैनेजमेंट में देंगे विद कंटिन्यूअस मॉनिटरिंग ऑफ द ब्लड प्रेशर. ये नहीं कि हाइपरटेंशन तरफ चल जाए, एक एग्जैक्ट जो है नॉर्मल रेंज में ब्लड प्रेशर 130 to 140 के दरमियान रखना है. इफ देयर इज अ हाइपरकैलेमिया present after the administration of the hydrocortisone management, there should be a mineralocorticoid supplementation addition with that is the fludrocortisone acetate 0.1 mg daily. So patient with adrenal insufficiency should carry a card or wear a necklace. That information should be given कि अगर emergency हो तो फिर उसको हम इंजेक्शन दे सकें। इस तरह जो पेशेंट होते हैं जैसे कि इंसुलिन और डायबिटीज का ताल्लुक है, इसी तरह एडिसन डिजीज और कॉर्टिजोन के इंजेक्शन का ताल्लुक है कि पेशेंट जो है वो उसकी जो फैमिली है उसमें बिल्कुल क्लियर हो कि देयर मे बी एक्यूट एड्रिनल इनसफिशिएंसी जिसकी वजह से वो बेहोश हो सकता है और उसके जो वाइटल्स हैं वो कोलैप्स हो सकते हैं स्ट्रेस कंडीशन में खास तौर पर और इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन में। फॉर दैट पर्पस he have to take hydrocortisone in emergency situations. Furthermore, end point of the therapy is very difficult to manage कि हम ये कहें कि अब इसके बाद मजीद ट्रीटमेंट की जरूरत नहीं है। तो it is an endocrine disorder and an endocrine disorder the end point of the therapy is difficult to assess in most patients and we have to maintain the person in a good condition की quality of life जो maintain right कि जो भी feature है उसका। It's all about the today's lecture. Thank you.